Hello everybody, and welcome once again to Let's Play Overlord. We are back in the Heaven's Peak zone. We have a group of all blue minions with us, because at this point we do have to go through the water. We're just heading through the encampment that's here outside of the main city.
You don't want to leave the camp!
To give you a good idea of where it is I have gone in reference to where I've been in previous videos. Over there outlined by the blue is the cave entrance where we got the blue minions. But instead of going in that direction, we're actually going to go ahead and come down here into the water. And as one of the people that was in that encampment pointed out to us at one point, once we can move this out of the way, there's an entrance into the sewer, and that's going to be our way into the city. Before we can go in, though, we do have to deal with a group of zombies out here in the water. From where they are in the water to where all we can use to fight them is blues, we do want to try to break them up into as small groups as we can, even though the zombies are usually not a very powerful enemy. This is also one of the very few places in the game where that weapon type I'm using is a little different than most of the others. When I switched to the sword, I think I mentioned that pretty much any enemy that you can use knockback on by using the heavier weapon, you're not worried about enough to really get much of an advantage out of it. That is the case with the zombies if I had brown minions, but since all I have is blue, the heavy weapons having a knockdown ability like what it does is actually quite useful. So this is one of the few places where having the heavier weapons is a good advantage. In fact, I've just gone ahead and put my blues on guard markers to let them keep each other alive. And I'm going to try to deal with most of these zombies on my own. And off in the distance over there you can see where there's something else that my minions can interact with. That's not a tower object I'm missing, that is just another path you could have taken to get here.
Oh, they're dead. The serious kind of dead, where you don't get up and start lurching around. No challenge there, sire.
And this is another one of the zones where they do make you deal with a decent bit of water, so it is a little frustrating in how easy it is to get some of your minions other than blues killed. But from where there are a couple of fairly decent fights to come, I am going to switch out to largely not blues. You have to keep at least some blues here, because while we do have a summoning pit over there that will let us get browns, it immediately summons them into the water, so if you don't have blues that are standing by ready to save them, they will die and you don't get them back. Now I only summoned 10 because I only have 10 blues to save them, so while I do have the ability to summon some more, I'm going to have to wait for the blues to resurrect those before I'll pull any more out. And that will give us a full group with 10 blues and the rest brown.
Browns!
And the zombies that are on the other side of this act a little different than most enemies do. If you'll notice, once I swoop the browns over there and do start them fighting some of these ones that are close by, a lot more than what you would expect of the zombies do come over and start joining in on the fight. So they will come over at you in large numbers, and so you will have to take your time a little bit in this area if you don't want to lose any. Let them all wander back over where they want to go, and then we'll sweep over and kill a few more. And from where we're having to use the sweeping action, it's also a little tough to try to get all of the Browns over there actually involved in the fight, instead of just having them standing around. We did lose 2 there. And I've cleared off this front little area of them pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and try to sweep over and go ahead and come over with my blues also. And now I can fight them a little more like normal. Also, if I don't have any losses at this point, my blues will be able to pick them back up, of course. We also had thinned their numbers enough where we didn't have any more losses anyway. And down in there we have a spoke to a wheel. Over here we have brown and blue spawning pits, so if you want to switch out the exact numbers you have of each, you can do it there. And what we'll want to do is we'll want to send one of our blues down to get an egg, to lure all of those birds away. And then while they're away, we want to send one to go and get that spoke of the wheel. He will not move on his own. You do actually have to use the stick to guide him, which is different than most of the time, until you get him over here to safety, and then he will start to move on his own like they normally do.
Browns.
And don't fear that you have missed anything. We have not actually seen the wheel yet that spoke goes to. So, it's not that I failed to point it out, it's that it's a little further along here. In fact, there it is, right up there, up the stairs from us. So there is the wheel that we'll have to turn and the door that it's going to open. Go ahead and clear this area of all of the zombies up here on it. If you are needing equipment, you do have the ability to sweep your minions down right here. And there are some chests and vases for them to break open. Off screen between the last video and this one though, I did take a full group of all 4 colors separately into the area where Bob's farm is. So my guys are pretty well equipped right now. And there was a large brown beetle. I had all 3 of the other colors available in the dungeon, but I did not have browns, even though I thought I had fought them. So maybe now that I killed that one, it will for sure be available in the dungeon.
So the priests didn't escape the plague either. Looks like the Silent Order, sire. They have a temple within Heaven's Peak.
And this wheel right here opens this door and takes you into a fairly long, somewhat challenging area. It's somewhat challenging in that there is a lot of water involved in it, so again you have to largely use blues, and they ambush you a couple of times with large groups of zombies. But the only thing it gets you access to is red minions. And the only reason I can see them putting you through that much work to get to the red minions is there are a couple of the undead that can attack from range. And we could use those red minions to fight them from range instead of having to fight them with nothing but blues, because you have to go through water to get to them if you actually are going to get up close and fight them. I don't see it as being worth the effort though. I will be able to use just the blues and deal with it just fine. So we'll go ahead and send some blues over to tear down that barrier, but I'll stay here on the land with my browns. because there are all of those zombies there, and if we can lure them up here onto the ground, our browns will have a much better time and a much faster time of killing them than our blues will. But speaking of time, I noticed that I am pretty much out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and we're going to fight our way over there and get that last spoke of the wheel in the next video.